The crisp autumn air of Davidson, North Carolina, carried familiar scents as Stephen Curry's SUV pulled through the college gates. 15 years had passed since he'd walked these paths as a skinny point guard with oversized dreams. Now, at 36, he was returning as a four-time NBA champion for the Alumni Fundraising Gala. The gymnasium buzzed with excitement. Alumni mingled with students and faculty, all eager to see Davidson's most famous graduate. Stephen moved through the crowd with practiced ease, his genuine smile reminding everyone why he'd always been beloved here. "Steph," called out Coach McKillop, embracing his former player. "California treating you well?" "Can't complain, Coach," Stephen laughed, "though I miss those 6 a.m. practices you loved so much." As they chatted, Stephen's eyes wandered across the room. Then he saw her, standing near the refreshment table, her dark hair now in a sophisticated bob, wearing a navy dress. Elena Rodriguez, the pre-med student who'd helped him through organic chemistry and made him forget about basketball during countless study sessions. Their eyes met across the crowded room, and the noise faded away. She smiled, that same warm, mischievous smile from their college days, and raised her hand in a small wave. "Excuse me, Coach," Stephen said, his voice slightly hoarse. "I see someone I need to catch up with." He moved through the crowd with purpose, his hands trembling slightly, a sensation he hadn't felt since his first NBA Finals. "Elena Rodriguez," he said as he approached. "Or should I say Dr. Rodriguez now?" She laughed, the sound exactly as he remembered. "Just Elena is fine. Though yes, it's Dr. Rodriguez at Charlotte Presbyterian now. Pediatric surgery." She studied his face. "You look exactly the same. Maybe a little more polished. Time's been good to you too," he said, meaning every word. "Pediatric surgery? That's incredible." They found a quieter corner, conversation flowing naturally. Her work at the hospital, his NBA life, shared memories of late-night study sessions. "Remember when you skipped practice to help me with that genetics project?" Stephen asked. "You mean when you volunteered because you were afraid of disappointing me?" She corrected with a knowing smile. Coach McKillop was furious. "Worth every suicide sprint," Stephen said, his eyes twinkling. "That was the day I realized—" He stopped himself. The day he'd realized he was falling in love with her. "Realized what?" Elena asked softly. Before he could answer, the gala organizer appeared. "Mr. Curry, we're ready for your speech." Stephen glanced at Elena, who nodded encouragingly. "Go ahead, superstar. I'll be right here when you're done." Stephen took the microphone, but his eyes kept finding Elena in the crowd. "You know, when they asked me to speak tonight, I thought I'd talk about championships," he began. "But standing here now, Davidson didn't just teach me basketball. It taught me how to be human, how to handle failure. And trust me, I failed plenty of classes before Elena Rodriguez took pity on me." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Elena's cheeks flushed, but her smile widened. "Davidson taught me that relationships matter more than trophies. Some of my professors are here tonight, some teammates, people who shaped who I became, not just as a player, but as a man." After the applause died down, Stephen found Elena again. She was now standing alone by the trophy case. "Nice speech," she said. "Very diplomatic. Very Stephen Curry. Is that good or bad?" "It's safe," she replied. "You always were good at saying the right thing to the right people." The comment stung, but he recognized the truth in it. "Let's get some air," Elena said, moving toward the exit. They walked in silence across campus, settling on a bench overlooking the quad. "You know what I remember most about college?" Elena said. "Those quiet moments, when you'd walk me back to my dorm after study sessions and we'd talk about everything except basketball and medicine." "You were the only person who never asked about my stats," Stephen said quietly. "You just saw me." "I saw a scared kid carrying everyone's expectations," Elena replied. "Someone who was kind and funny but didn't think those qualities mattered." They sat in comfortable silence, watching students cross the quad. "I never thanked you," Stephen said, "for making me feel normal." "That's what friends do," Elena said. The word friends hung between them, loaded with 15 years of might-have-beens. "Is that what we were? Friends?" he asked. Elena was quiet for a long moment. You know what the hardest part was? We never talked about us. We never said what we were feeling. We just let it end. I wanted to tell you so many times, Stephen admitted, but I was terrified of ruining the best thing in my life. So instead, you said nothing. And I said nothing. Was it easier? Elena's laugh was tinged with sadness. No, it really wasn't. They were sitting closer now. Years of unspoken feelings charging the space between them. Stephen, there's something I need to tell you, Elena said seriously. Something I should have told you long ago. The gravity in her voice made him straighten. What is it? She took a deep breath. After you left for the NBA, I found out I was pregnant. The words hit Stephen like a physical blow. What? That night before you declared for the draft. When we... She didn't need to finish. They both remembered that night. Their goodbye that had been both beginning and ending. Stephen's mind raced. Why didn't you tell me? Because you were 20 with the whole world ahead of you. Because I was 20 and terrified. Her voice remained steady, but tears gathered in her eyes. Because I miscarried 6 weeks later. The silence was deafening. Stephen felt like he was drowning in waves of grief, guilt, love, and regret. Elena, he whispered, reaching for her hand. I'm so sorry. I grieved alone, Stephen. I was too proud to tell you, too scared to derail your dreams. You wouldn't have derailed anything, he said fiercely. If I had known, I would have stayed. We would have figured it out together. Would you? She asked without accusation, just curiosity. Really? Stephen paused, considering honestly. I don't know. I want to say yes, but I was so young, so focused on proving myself. That's why I didn't tell you. I knew you'd try to be the hero, and I didn't want our choices made out of obligation. But you suffered alone. I had my family. But I did miss you. I missed having you tell me everything would be okay. They sat processing the weight of what had been shared. Do you regret not telling me? He asked. I regret that you're learning about it now like this. But the choice I made then? We were kids, Stephen. We were both trying to figure out our lives. Elena looked at him with eyes that now held the wisdom of someone who'd lived through loss. Now, I think it's time we finally had the conversation we should have had 15 years ago. They moved to a 24-hour diner off campus, their old refuge during late-night study sessions. The familiar red vinyl booths created an intimate space away from Stephen's usual world of fame. 2 coffees, black, and apple pie, 2 forks, Elena told the waitress. Stephen smiled despite everything. You remember? Some things you don't forget. Stephen noticed her wedding ring. Tell me about your husband. Elena's smile was soft but sad. Marcus, he's a cardiologist. We met during residency. She twisted her ring. He knows about you, about us, about what happened. And he's patient, understanding. He knew he was marrying someone who had loved deeply before. Elena met Stephen's eyes. But he also knew that made me capable of loving deeply again. Stephen felt a mix of jealousy and genuine happiness for her. He sounds like a good guy. He is. He deserves better than a wife who still wonders. What if about her college boyfriend? Elena, we don't have children, she continued quietly. We've been trying for 3 years. Fertility issues. The doctors say it's probably related to the miscarriage. She looked down. So not only did I lose our baby, but I might never have children because of it. Stephen covered her hands with his. That's not your fault, isn't it? I made the choice not to tell you. I chose to handle it alone. We both made choices, Stephen said firmly. I chose to leave without fighting for us. Do you regret it? The choice you made? Stephen considered carefully. I can't regret the path that led me to my wife and children. I love them more than life. But do I regret how I handled things with you? Do I regret not being there when you needed me? Absolutely. I see your family sometimes, on social media. Aisha seems wonderful. Your kids are beautiful. They are, and I'm grateful every day. But Elena, that doesn't erase what we had. Elena wiped her eyes. I need to ask you something. That night before you declared for the draft, did you love me? Stephen didn't hesitate. Yes, completely. I was 20 and thought I was going to die from how much I loved you." Elena's breath caught. "Then why didn't you say it?" "Because I was terrified. Because I didn't know how to be in love and still chase my dreams. Because I was a coward." "You weren't a coward. You were young. If I could go back, I would tell you I loved you. I would ask you to come with me. I would be there for you through everything." "But you can't go back," Elena said softly. "No, but I can tell you now. You were the love of my life before I knew what that meant. Losing you was the hardest thing I'd ever gone through." Elena was crying now. "I loved you too. So much it scared me. So much I've never quite stopped." They held hands across the table, both crying for their younger selves and the choices they'd made. "Where does this leave us?" Stephen asked. "I don't know. We're both married. We have lives, responsibilities." "I'm not asking you to leave your husband," Stephen said. "I just needed you to know that what we had was real, that it mattered, that you mattered. It did matter. It changed everything for me. You taught me how to love, Stephen." "I need to tell you something," Stephen said. "I forgive you for not telling me about the pregnancy, for making that choice alone. I understand why you did it." Elena sobbed audibly. "Thank you. And I need you to forgive me too. For leaving, for not fighting for us, for being too scared to tell you how I felt." "I forgive you," Elena said without hesitation. "I forgave you long ago." They sat in the healing silence of absolution, 15 years of guilt finally finding light. As they walked back to their cars, Elena said, "This can't happen again. It's not fair to Marcus or Aisha." "I know," Stephen said, "but I'm grateful it happened tonight. We finally got to say goodbye properly." Elena unlocked her car. "Stephen, the choice I made not telling you, it wasn't because I didn't think you'd be a good father. It was because I knew you would be. I couldn't let you sacrifice your dreams for my mistake. It wouldn't have been your mistake. It would have been our choice to make together. I know that now." She got in her car and rolled down the window. "Take care of yourself, Stephen Curry. Take care of that beautiful family. You too, Elena Rodriguez. Save some lives for me." She drove away. Stephen stood watching her taillights disappear. He felt hollowed out and full simultaneously, heartbroken and healed. For the first time in 15 years, he understood the weight of the road not taken. And for the first time in 15 years, he was ready to fully embrace the road he'd chosen instead. 2 years later, Stephen stood at the podium of the same Davidson Gymnasium, announcing his foundation's newest initiative: scholarships for student athletes pursuing medical careers. "Education saved my life," he told the crowd. "Not just basketball education, but life education. The relationships. Understanding that who you become as a person matters more than what you achieve as a player." In the back, almost hidden, Dr. Elena Rodriguez Martinez stood with her husband Marcus and their 18-month-old daughter Sophia. Elena had changed her name when they renewed their vows after Sophia's adoption was finalized, marking their new chapter. Stephen couldn't see her, but he felt her presence. Some connections transcended time and circumstance. "The scholarship recipients will work alongside medical professionals," Stephen continued. "They'll learn that healing, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, is one of the highest callings." After his speech, Stephen found himself at the back of the gymnasium. Elena was there, holding a beautiful little girl with dark curls and bright brown eyes. Marcus stood beside them, his arm around Elena's waist. "Congratulations," Stephen said warmly. "She's beautiful." "Thank you," Elena replied peacefully. "Stephen, I'd like you to meet my husband, Marcus, and our daughter, Sophia." Marcus extended his hand with genuine warmth. "It's an honor." That was a beautiful speech. "And who's this beautiful little girl?" Stephen asked, crouching to Sophia's level. She was shy at first, then peeked out and gave him a tiny wave. "Sofia Maria Rodriguez Martinez," Elena said with pride. "She came to us through adoption 18 months ago. She's everything we never knew we needed." Stephen felt pure happiness for them. "She's perfect. You can see how loved she is." "We're the lucky ones," Marcus said, kissing Sophia's head. "She chose us as much as we chose her." They talked about safe things, Sophia's first words, Stephen's kids, the scholarship program. But underneath, something deeper was happening. Final closure and peace. Elena, Stephen said as they prepared to part, seeing you like this, seeing your family, it makes me incredibly happy. You deserve all this joy. Thank you. And Stephen, that scholarship program, the focus on medical careers, it means more than you know. Stephen smiled. Someone once told me that healing is one of the highest callings. I thought it was worth supporting. Elena's breath caught, recognizing her own words from 20 years ago. You remembered. I remember everything. The good and the difficult. All of it matters. As Stephen walked away, Elena watched with a heart full of gratitude. She thought about the young woman she'd been, so afraid of her feelings. Now she understood that love meant courage. The courage to be honest, vulnerable, to ask for what you needed. Ready to go home? Marcus asked. Yeah, Elena said, taking his hand. I'm ready. Stephen drove away feeling complete. Some love stories end with people together. Others end with people apart, but whole. The best ones end with people who are better for having loved each other, regardless of how it works out. As Stephen pulled into his driveway, he could see his family through the kitchen window. Aisha helping with homework while Riley danced around, and Cannon played with blocks. His life, his choice, his joy. 3 hours away, Elena was tucking Sophia into bed while Marcus cleaned up dinner dishes. Her life, her choice, her joy. 2 different lives, both beautiful, both whole, both touched by a love that had transformed them in ways they were still discovering. And in Davidson, the autumn leaves were turning, marking another season of change, reminding anyone who cared to listen that some conversations really are worth waiting for, and that some endings are actually new beginnings in disguise.